Food We Love with Linda Yu is presented by Arun's Thai Restaurant.
Hello everybody, I'm Linda Yu, and hello to you guys too.
Hello.
Welcome to another segment of my new video series for the Chicago Sun-Times. We call it Food We Love. Here on our Sun-Times studio kitchen today to share a food they love is my former ABC7 colleague, sports anchor Jim Rose, and his wife, designer, the beautiful Lakeisha Rose.
Sweet.
And JR and I did the 4 p.m. news together for how many years?
Let's leave that.
Let's leave that. But right now, I am so thrilled to have him here with Lakeisha, and we're going to talk about a dish that has been very special for at least 2 generations in his family as well as in Lakeisha's family. It's pot roast, and people go, pot roast is so easier. Pot roast can be so yummy, right?
Oh, and the way she prepares it,
Yeah.
it's extremely yummy.
Yeah, and it's just, there's nothing better to me in our house to cook something that takes 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday, especially when it's winter.
Yes.
I mean, it's like the whole house is permeating with whatever you're cooking, and I love pot roast on Sundays.
You guys have this tradition, but it was after you met, and sometime after, all right, when you started talking about what to cook and what to eat together and stuff, that you discovered that this pot roast, or this kind of pot roast, is a tradition that happened as you grew up and as you grew up on Sundays.
Yeah.
Well, with my family, it's a family of 10, my mom and dad and 8 brothers and sisters. You had to cook a lot of food for a lot of people, and pot roast was that ideal dish. And my mother made it with the rudimentary meat and potatoes and carrots and spinach and things like that, and it was fabulous. Until I met her, and then it went from here, no disrespect, Mom, to way up here.
It's okay, Mom would understand.
She would
right?
understand,
She would understand. So you grew up with it, and it was great.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same thing. It started on Sunday. I would come downstairs and I would smell the meat and the butter, because she would maybe put like a stick of butter and put it in the oven for about 3 or 4 hours. Same thing. You'd have the potatoes and the carrots and all of that. And so I think with Jim and I, we sort of taken this recipe and made it better. And there's just one little secret that changes everything. I think for this recipe.
Are we going to tell now, or we'll tell as we do it?
Listen,
secret.
we can tell the secret now, whatever
tell
you
the
like.
secret now.
It's cognac. It's an amber flavored, an amber colored cognac that's really just so divine. You can cook with wine. Everyone cooks with wine in various recipes. But what the cognac does, it takes the flavor and it deepens it. That makes the world a difference. And my French style mashed potatoes is really just phenomenal.
just
Doing that
lovely.
Too. Okay, all right. So tell me about what this means to you at during football season.
Well, it originated with going to cover the Bears, especially in November and December at Soldier Field. And I would remark to Lakeisha, wow, it'd be nice to have one of those nice, warm, stick-to-your-ribs type of meals. And we talked about this pot roast, and then she said, okay, I've got something for you. Yeah. And so after the Bears got beat by the Packers one December Sunday, I came home and I saw this beautiful spread. And I forgot all about that game.
All of the things about home mean so much to you beyond food too.
Exactly.
Right? For both of you.
Yeah. It's a sense of feel when you come into the house. Whether I have flowers or diffusers or candles or how we eat, I just like our home to feel special. So we had this for dinner last night, which we had to taste.
Because you had to taste it.
We had to make sure. Okay, so you typically want to get about a 4 to 5 pound pot roast. And for 2 people, you literally can have another 5 or 6 meals out of it. So you
want
can't
leftovers.
Right,
You
which
can't
I do,
make this
taking
in
to
small
work.
portions. So here's one
shared with me at work.
Yeah.
We'll share now.
Right. So one thing I do with this beef is, if you have time, if you have a day before or maybe 3 or 4 hours before, I salt and pepper it. Why? Because it sort of immediately, intensifies flavors, immediately kind of dry ages it, so it makes the flavor better in the long run. So I'll do that. So you can kind of see this has been salt and peppering since about last night. And so before you put this in a pot, you want to add a little bit of flour, sort of coat the flour on that. And what that does, it kind of builds a crust onto the beef. And then later on, it's also going to be a thickening agent to the pot roast.
Right, to your pot roast.
Exactly.
So we're going to say Magica TV, it's going to go into a pot. It has some of the flour over it. Okay.
So next what you want to do, I chop up the onions and the leeks and the carrots. No need to be fancy because a lot of it, you want to maybe cut it about 1.5 inches thick because you don't want it too thick. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to be consistent or accurate. It's pot roast because at the end, we're going to take a few cups out of it, blend it, put it back in, and it's going to be nice to have those nice chunks of
You want the chunks, and what I love about this is it's the color too. It adds all this color. I love that about food is having a balance of color on your plate.
No, that's very, very true. You don't want things too beige. You want a little bit of red. I know you can cook. It's going to be great.
Coming from you, okay.
Well, yeah, just the sort of the texture with it. The minute you start seeing the onions and the leeks become a little bit translucent, then after that I add in the red wine, and then I add in the gift, the cognac.
All right, let's make sure we all see it. Okay, there's and then.
Oh yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Get that to boil because what you're trying to do.
You want the alcohol to burn off. Right?
You want the alcohol to burn off. And then your next step is your chicken stock. Here's the beauty of Chicago, is you don't have to make your own chicken stock anymore. You can go to any butcher shop and they already have chicken stock made. Because I used to actually make my own chicken stock until the butcher shops started incorporating it. It's fantastic. Okay. Another intensifying of flavor is this bouillon cube. You can get them in.
Make sure we can see it. Okay. So
yes, you can get that either in the cube form where it's a little bit dry, or you can get it in this form which has some liquidity to it. That also brings a little deepening, intensifying of the flavor.
If you use a cube, you don't want the whole cube, do you, or just part?
No, you can use just the whole cube because 1 cube typically equals to about 1 teaspoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so you want to put 1 teaspoon added to the chicken stock.
Okay, and that just adds the body to it. Okay.
Exactly.
Great. Okay.
So once that's cooking, then you want to add the tomatoes. Now here's one tip I'll give you. I wouldn't get the chopped tomatoes because whatever manufacturer, it's a lot of handling, a lot of hand holding. Get the whole peeled ones, dump them in there, take your tongs, just kind of rip them up.
Chopping them
just
up.
kind of chop them up a little bit. Yes, exactly. And so once that's done, it's all boiling, getting to the consistency. Now that you have removed your piece of roast that's sort of been sitting and resting the whole time, you want to put that back in there. It has this gorgeous crust on it. It's settled, and put all the juices in there from the bottom too, because all that has the intensity of the flavor.
Yes.
You put that in the oven for about on 350 degrees. You cook it for about 1.5 hours. Then you bring it down, about 250, and cook it for about another hour to 1.5 hours.
And by now the house smells wonderful.
The house is permeating. Permeating. It's beautiful.
And I come home and that smell is there and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So that's it. And while the pot roast is in the oven, then what?
That's when my French-style mashed potatoes happen.
Okay.
So while that's happening, when you turn it down to 250, everything is about timing when you're in the kitchen and you're cooking.
Right.
So when you turn it down to about 250 and you have about 1 hour left, this is when you start this on. But here's another tip about mashed potatoes. I don't boil my mashed potatoes. I don't boil them in water. What I have here, this is a strainer.
Right.
So you just want to put the water right until here.
Right.
And so what that does, you create steam. So when you put in your milk and your butter and your cream for your mashed potatoes, your potatoes aren't filled with water. They're waiting for the milk and the cream and the mashed potatoes. So they will absorb that.
They're richer.
They're richer.
Okay.
Exactly. So I just put them in a steamer. When they're done, you sort of prick them with a knife.
So whole potato, right?
Whole potato.
Like this, whole potato.
I would recommend Yukon Gold because they have a thin, a thin skin, and they're very easy to peel once you've steamed them.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So after, all right. So
exactly.
Then, what do? You take.
So here is the fun part of this here. Now, here is a French food mill. So what do you do with a French food mill? Well, I use it for potatoes. You can make cauliflower mash. You can make baby food. It's really a great way to really aerate your food and whatever you're putting in there. It's phenomenal for mashed potatoes. I can't even stress it enough. And then all you do is you just push it through this grate. And as you see, let's get what
From
it's
an engineering
doing,
standpoint, that's pretty cool.
it's aerating the potato. So I'll show you again just for effect, and then we will actually use this potato as when we plate. Sometimes it's nice to have a towel underneath.
Sure, so it doesn't slide around.
So it doesn't slide around. Exactly. So now it is time to plate up the roast. Let's see how that's going over here. So
want me to hold that for you? The plate?
I think I got it.
Here, let me hold the plate.
Okay,
There
great.
you go.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
Okay, so now this is what you have left. You can maybe put this over
here?
here.
Oh, it smells so good.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's delicious. So I have this sort of consistency here. I've taken out a couple ladles of
The
the vegetable
right?
of the vegetable roast, and then I put them in a blender just to pureate it, just until you don't see any
puree it?
vegetables
Sure.
anymore.
Let me put the lid on, or it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
go.
gonna go all over the
right?
place.
Okay. So.
Ready? Do we need to hold this down? I guess.
Right.
Good.
And that's all, right?
That's it.
goes fast.
That's it.
Okay.
So now we're gonna balance everything out, and I'm gonna take this from you guys.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pour it back into the mixture.
I'll just put that
We are
over
gonna
here.
take a little bit of butter.
Mo better butter.
I like that. Where'd that come from?
Or,
Okay.
from my sports days, or still, straight butter, baby.
Once that's blended, you let that cook for maybe about like another minute, 2 minutes, not long.
Okay.
Now it's time to slice the roast. We're gonna slice it against the grain there, and I'm gonna put this back in the pot. It's gonna be time to plate up here.
Unless JR eats it first.
Unless he eats it first, right. I'm gonna put this back in. These are a little bit larger chunks than you would serve at home, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna put just a little bit of juice on the end here.
Do you need the spoon for that?
Now I got the ladle.
Got that? Okay.
This works out perfectly.
There's another piece.
Oh, yes.
This makes me happy.
Lakeisha's not gonna let me hang around.
No, we would love to have. And here you are. Here is your Sunday pot roast.
So thanks for joining us today. We think it's just been wonderful. We hope you will continue to join us for other episodes here of Food We Love. Go to chicagosuntimes.com. For this yummy recipe and so much more, go to the Chicago Sun-Times website. The address is right here on your screen.